Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today is the start of my next diary entry. So this is going to be another reading vlog for the light novels that I'm reading in November for my light novel November project. And so I want to start this one with the physical copy that I'm reading currently. And that is Juni Taisen Zodiac War by Nisioisin. Art by Hikaru Nakamura. This one is published by Viz, and I would probably say this is in the mature range just because the story is very violent. So this one follows a war of the Zodiac representatives. So it says 12 years. Every 12 years, the 12 signs of the Chinese Zodiac take the form of warriors and engage in the ultimate battle royale. They face one another in battles to the death, using all the powers of their star signs, and the sole survivor is granted the ultimate prize, a wish. Any wish. And so I am 98 pages in. I'm on the 5th battle. So every chapter we get a picture of the Zodiac character that we're following in that chapter. And then there's a little biography of that character on the back side of that picture. It just gives you a little bit about them, their name, their birthday, height and weight, and then a little bit about their background, maybe how they became the representative for the Zodiac sign that they're representing and things like that. Maybe a little bit about their hobbies or things that they enjoy. And so I had actually started to read this in 2019. So in 2019, I tried to pick this up, and it was a very, very slow read for me. And so I ended up putting it down exactly where I am right now. Now, I didn't realize that it has been that long since I had read this last, but I did check it on my Goodreads, and Goodreads does say that the last time I read was in 2019, and I had stopped on page 98. So that's exactly where I am now. I remembered the beginning portion, and I think the reason that I remembered the beginning portion was because I also tried to watch the anime at the time where I was reading it for the first time, because I was having such a problem getting into the story. I thought maybe watching the anime might help me a little bit, giving me the visuals, especially because this story has a lot of battle scenes in it. And I guess at the time, the battle scenes weren't really hitting me either. And so I did watch a little bit of the anime, but I never finished that either because I didn't want to spoil myself for the experience of the book. So basically, that didn't work, and I ended up putting the book down. And now, several years later, I'm trying to pick it back up again because I really, really do want to see what this story is about. Well, I know what the story is about, but see how the story ends. Who's the final victor and things like that. Get to know all of the other Zodiac representatives that I wasn't introduced to in the beginning where I had read from before. So I'm at that point now. I will tell you, while the story still feels really slow for me, I have a lot more patience with it now. And I don't know if that's just because I'm taking it at smaller chunks this time around and I'm not trying to read at, I guess, a faster pace, just because my life kind of doesn't jive with how I used to read several years ago, right? I'm a lot more stressed out. I'm several years older. My life has kind of changed a bit. And so I take what reading time I can and I try to enjoy the reading time that I have. So if I can only read a chapter or two a night, then that's what I'm going to read. I'm not going to try to plow through. And so maybe that's all helping me with my experience this time around, but I definitely feel more compelled to continue with the story now, and I feel more connected to the story and more interested in what's going on. So I think all of those things are good signs, and I'm really looking forward to continuing where I had left off. So this is a hardback copy. One of the things that I'm having an issue with And the reason that I don't read hardback copies is because I, from time to time, get pain in my entire arm. It could be one arm, it could be both arms. But over the last few nights, my right arm, which is my dominant arm, has been very, very painful. And it's the type of pain where it doesn't really allow me to grip things. So I can't really pick up, say, like a cup or a pen even. My grip just isn't there. And it's ultra painful to try to make myself grip something. So when you're talking about trying to read a hardback book like this, and I normally read in bed, right before bedtime is when I read. So I'm trying to have to like find different ways to situate the book so that I can read it, because I cannot hold it up. Even like just holding it by the cover like this is hard, because I can't, just closing my hand like this hurts so much, and it's pain that kind of radiates from my fingertips all the way up to my shoulder, and so my entire arm hurts. So it's very uncomfortable, but thankfully it's not usually an all-day pain. And I've been trying to make sure that, you know, I keep it warm and don't overexert, which seems to be helping. But yeah, it's been rather difficult to read this. But that being said, I have been persevering and am really kind of into the story at this time. But I've also taken off the dust cover while reading, and the naked hardback is beautiful. Look at that. Now, I really enjoy the dust cover art. You know, you get all those bright, vibrant colors, and you see all of the Zodiac characters, or the fighters. But this is gorgeous. I really, really do enjoy a naked hardback. I actually prefer when they don't have the dust covers, because, you know, I don't really like to take off the dust covers when I'm reading, but I'm finding that it definitely helps me to read a hardcover. And so, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know where I was with my light novels. It's slow going this month, but I'm still enjoying what I've been reading. And so, yeah, I think the next time you'll hear from me, I should be done with this. Then the question's going to be, do I watch the anime or read the manga? Because I definitely want like the full experience of the story. That's kind of always been my goal with this series, if you will, is to have that full experience. And I wanted my experience to start with this light novel. So I'm glad that, you know, giving it a little bit of time and some time away from it has really helped me to appreciate the story a little bit more and enjoy it better this time around. And so, yeah, looking forward to continuing with this one, and I hope you're all having a good one. I'll chat with you later. Hello. So I have a little bit of an update for you. Unfortunately, it's not an update on Juni Taisen, because I have kind of had a little bit of a pause in reading that, because I did have to read the Monochrome Manga Club selections for November. And so I had to use my nighttime reading time for those volumes instead. So I am done reading all of those now, so I do plan on going back to Juni Taisen. But in the meantime, I have read a little bit more as far as light novels go. So since I finished Sword of the Demon Hunter, which was my last audiobook, you know, I like to have an audiobook on the go for lunchtime. I decided to try out Classroom of the Elite by Syougo Kinugasa, art by Tomoseshunsaku. This one is published by 7 Seas, rated teen. So this is part of the selections that are available on Audible Plus, and I picked this particular volume up from Book Outlet, I believe. It's not marked. I'm pretty sure I bought it from Book Outlet, though, several years ago for like $2 or $3. But in any case, I don't really know what this one is about yet. So I'm going to go ahead and read the back to you. It says, race to the head of the class. Students of the prestigious Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing High School are given remarkable freedom if they can win, barter, or save enough points to work their way up the ranks. Ayano Koji Kiyotaka has landed at the bottom of the scorned Class D, where he meets Horikita Suzune, who's determined to rise up the ladder to Class A. Can they beat the system in a school where cutthroat competition is the name of the game? So I am about 108 pages. And so far, we have met our main character. He has started at this new school and basically kind of wants to be solitary, but also kind of wants to make friends. So we kind of follow him struggling with that kind of decision and what he's gonna do, like what he wants to do with that. And he kind of unintentionally makes friends with this other girl that is in his class. And I wouldn't say they're like friendly, but I guess the more they get to know each other, they're getting a little bit more friendly. But at this point where I am, they're more like acquaintances and trying to get to know each other a little bit better inadvertently. They're not like trying to get to know each other purposefully. Just with their interactions, they're getting to know each other a little bit better. But this is basically like high school boy POV. And where I have stopped reading, him and a few of the other guys in his class have decided to start taking bets on which girl in their class has the biggest rack. So needless to say, I'm going to be DNFing this one. Yeah, I'm not into that. I noticed that this book does have illustrations in it. And I'm going to try to see. Yeah, there's one up in the front here. So, here's one of the illustrations that are in here. This is where I am. And this is where I stopped. So, I'm not interested. I'm not really getting the whole like competition kind of thing with this story. It hasn't come up yet. You definitely get the feel from some of the other like classmates that they've come across on campus, kind of scorning them for being in Class D, and some of the things that they have said to the students in Class D make you realize like they're kind of the bottom of the barrel class. But nothing's kind of going in the way of, oh, it's a battle to get to the top or, you know, bartering or anything like that. And so, yeah, I'm not really interested. But also, teenage boy POV is not something that I enjoy. And especially not the type of boy POV where they're betting on how big some of the girls' racks are. Like, no, thank you. So I'm DNFing that one. Thankfully, I only spent a couple of dollars, and so maybe somebody else will enjoy that one, but I will not be continuing. If you are interested though in this story, I will tell you that several of the audiobook copies are available to listen as part of the Audible Plus program. So yeah, there are several there if you have that subscription for you to go ahead and listen to as part of the subscription. But I will not be continuing. And then, so with my disappointment with that, I needed another audiobook. So I decided to go ahead and start reading Kinn. So the way that this particular book title looks, it doesn't look like it's pronounced Kinn, but the way the audiobook narrator pronounces it, that's how he pronounces it. So in this one, we're following a guy who works at kind of, it seems like a host club type of bar. And he's locking up for the night, and he hears a scuffle. And this guy is basically being beat up to a pulp. He is getting his butt kicked, and he asks our main character for help, to help him. And so the guy's like, why? You know, he doesn't want to get involved. And the guy basically tells him, I'll make it worth your while, and tells him a sum of money. And the guy's like, okay, now you're talking. Because this guy, he works to take care of his younger brother, and they're orphans. Their parents were killed, and though they had lived a very posh lifestyle, when the parents were killed, they lost everything because one of their dad's business partners was corrupt and took everything. So now they have nothing. And so he's basically working to support himself and his younger brother. And so he hears the sum of money. He's like, I got you. And so he basically saves this guy from getting his butt kicked. And they find out that they go to the same university. And pretty much that's where I'm at right now. I can read you what the summary says on Goodreads, so you have a better understanding about what this book is about. But it says, dangerous liaison. Ever since the tragic death of his parents, Posh's lifestyle has been a balancing act between attending college and bartending to support his younger brother and pay off his deadbeat uncle's gambling debt. When he witnesses a gang of thugs attacking a handsome young man in the alley behind his bar, he's reluctant to intervene until he's offered 50,000 baht to help the stranger escape. The stranger is known as Kinn, the second son of a notorious crime family. Impressed with Posh's fighting skills, Kinn says if Posh agrees to become his personal bodyguard, his debts will be absolved. Posh doesn't want any trouble, especially not the kind of trouble Kinn deals in, but Kinn always gets what he wants. So this is a Thai BL novel, and so I've been very interested in reading the Thai BL lately, and I've been looking for more, and so I'm really enjoying what I've heard so far. I think I've gone through the prologue and of the first chapter, and we've had 2 fight scenes so far. Very, very action-packed type story. And the narration is entertaining. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's done by Tommy Fuller. And it definitely helps, at least if he's doing it right, which I'm hoping he is, with the pronunciation of the names. So, if you looked at this cover, it looks like the title is King Porsche. But he definitely says it as Kinn Posh. And the author's name, he pronounced as Daemi, whereas if I looked at it, I would think it was Daemi, but that's a very Korean way of saying it, I think. And so, yeah, he said the author's name is Daemi, but I'm enjoying it. I just found out, I think, that it's only a 6-volume series, so nice and short. Like I said, there's lots of action so far, the fight scenes. And I enjoy our main character. I think he's really relatable as far as, his kind of reluctance to get involved and him taking care of a younger brother and things like that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing these two get to know each other a little bit better. Obviously, it's going to go a certain way, right? There's a little bit more representation as well, because the owner of the bar that Posh works at is a trans woman. And so on top of that story being BL, I'm looking forward to continuing with this one. I would say that my experience with the different BL novels that I have read so far has been kind of mid-road. I've read the Heaven's Official Blessing, the first light novel volume by MXTX, and I again felt like that was pretty mid-road. And I think my problem with that was probably more that it wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be really mysterious, more on the supernatural side, and it ended up not really being that, though there are elements of that within the story. I've read River Bay Road, Man's Dormitory, and that's very much a contemporary BL story, which I did enjoy, but again, it wasn't like super exciting. And so I think that with how this one started and the two like action-packed fight scenes that we've had so far, that's definitely bringing a little bit of edge to this story for me. Plus the fact that it sounds like the one guy that was getting his butt kicked is actually like part of maybe a crime family, a mafia maybe type family. So obviously there's going to be some dangers there as well. And so I think this one will probably be more compelling as far as those elements go. So I'm excited. Unfortunately, I have seen some not so good reviews of this. So I'm going to reserve my judgment, because a lot of times when people don't enjoy things, I have the opposite reaction, and vice versa. When people enjoy things a lot, I often have an opposite reaction. So we'll see how this one goes. But so far, prologue and one chapter in, I am enjoying it. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the journey that these two have in this one. So yes, that is pretty much all I have for you for this update. I should be up to some fun and exciting things. So hopefully the next few clips that you see will include some of that. And then I will check in with you when I have another update for you. But until then, I hope you are all having a good one. And I will catch you later.
Hello, so we are coming to you today from a different location. We are taking a small vacation to Las Vegas. So we are here in our hotel room. We actually got in yesterday and everything that could go wrong went wrong. So it was quite a struggle. Lots of stress. We kept just hitting road bumps, and then I lost my phone. Thankfully, I had lost it at the check-in kiosk, because I knew it was either there or the car, because I had used navigation from my phone to navigate to the hotel, and then the only other time I opened my purse was at the kiosk, so I knew it had to be one of those two places. And even though I knew it only had to be in one of those two places, I still freaked out quite a bit. But somebody had turned it into lost and found, thankfully, so I do have my phone, which is so relieving. So we made it through our first night. We actually went to go eat at Zippy's last night. And if you're familiar with any of my Hawaii vlogs, when I go back home, the first thing we do is always eat at Zippy's. And for those of you who don't know, lots of people from Hawaii actually enjoy coming to Las Vegas. And so it's kind of called the Ninth Island. And so there are local foods here, and Zippy's had opened, I don't know how long ago. It was recently, maybe 1 or 2 years ago. And we couldn't make it home this year, so we have our uncle with us. Our uncle is always with us when we go home to Hawaii to visit, and so he's with us here. So my mom and my uncle weren't feeling too well after all of the traveling yesterday, and so they stayed in, but my daughter and I trucked it out to Zippy's. We had our favorites, which is the chili and rice and the wonton min, which is a saimin with wonton dumplings in it. Very, very good. The wonton min definitely tasted like home. The chili was a little bit different. It was similar, but it wasn't the same as what I usually get back home, which is fine. But as we were sitting there and eating, there were a lot of people who looked like they could be locals from back home. And some of the people that worked there also kind of talked like they were from back home. And so it felt like home. And we really enjoyed ourselves. So we'll probably be eating at Zippy's a couple more times before we leave here, just to get our fill. But yes, first night was successful. Daughter and I also, after we got back from Zippy's, spent a little bit of time in the adult arcade, also known as the casino. We actually didn't do too bad. Between the two of us, we did come out with some extra money. So that was fun. I don't really have a reading update for you because I didn't do any audiobook listening while we were traveling. Like I said, it was pretty stressful. And even this morning when I was getting ready, I normally do listen to an audiobook, and I just wanted the silence. And so I didn't listen to any more of my audiobook for Kinn Porsche. But maybe I'll be able to listen to some more a little later today, or maybe tomorrow when I'm getting ready. I'm just relaxing. And that's what vacation is for, right? And so today, I think we are going to go spend time at the Orleans Hotel. We are actually staying at the Excalibur. I don't think I told you that. We've stayed here before. We enjoy it. And so, yeah, my uncle really enjoys the Orleans. To stay there was much more expensive than staying here, though. So we are going to go visit the Orleans today. My uncle wants to go see a movie at the movie theater that they have there. And then mom, daughter, and I are probably going to spend time in the adult arcade. But I think we are also planning to check out their Asian restaurant. I think they do Chinese and Japanese foods at that restaurant. And then we're just going to kind of play it by ear today. So, yeah, really having a good time now that all of the stress is done. I have my phone and things like that. So I'll take you along with us along the way, and I will check in with you later.
Hello. So we are back from Vegas, and it's actually been a while since we've been back from Vegas, but things kind of didn't go as planned when we were in Vegas, and we just kind of enjoyed ourselves. So I think the last time I talked to you, I said we were going to the Orleans Hotel, and that ended up not working out because my uncle decided that he didn't want to go. He just wanted to veg out in the hotel. So my daughter and I actually went over to the Luxor, and we roamed around over there instead that day. I think there was some footage right before this clip of that. And so, yeah, we had a really good time in Vegas. I think we're definitely going to try to go more often. It's definitely one of those places that we don't really think about going, but we enjoyed our time there. And I think now that my daughter's older and we can, like, go to the casinos together, it's a little bit more fun as well. We also did a little bit of research on tips and tricks, different games that were out at the time, because the last time we went to Vegas, it was 5 or 6 years ago. And so it's been a while. A lot of the games that we had played the last time that we were there weren't there anymore, and the games have evolved so much. And so it was a really good thing that I did end up looking up some Vegas YouTubers before we went. We learned about some slot strategies. And I will say that for the most part, I stuck to a slot strategy the entire time I was there, except for the very last day where I just was like, it's the last day, we're just going to have a lot of fun. And I was pretty much even the entire time except for that last day. So I did lose a little bit of money, but hey, what are you going to do, right? I had a lot of fun, and that was the point. So I'll just chalk it up to like an arcade day, right? I actually didn't even lose as much as I would have used if I had gone to an arcade, which we did go to. I think I also put in that footage here. If I didn't, it will be after this clip, just to like kind of break up the talking sections, but you'll definitely get some arcade footage in this video. But I wanted to come on here today because I did end up finishing Kinn Porsche. So this one, I think I told you, was about a guy who was working at a bar, which was kind of like a host club. And as he was closing out one night, he comes across a guy that's really getting his butt kicked outside of the bar. And the guy asks him for help. And he's like, why should I? And the guy's all like, I'll make it worth your while. And so he ends up helping the guy and kind of ends up getting roped into kind of a situation where he ends up meeting this guy a lot more often. In addition to that, I will say that the story kind of follows him getting manipulated into working for the guy he helped as his bodyguard. And I say that because I think I had mentioned before that the guy had lost his parents. He had a younger brother, and that's why he was working. And so he works to take care of his younger brother. Well, the person that took them in after their parents were killed was their uncle. And their uncle basically gambled away their entire life savings, I guess you could say. Anything that they had, their uncle basically took and gambled away. Well, the uncle ends up in debt to the family of the guy that Porsche ended up helping. And so that situation, because the uncle owes them a lot of money, is kind of held over Porsche's head as a reason to make him come work as a bodyguard for Kinn. So that wasn't great. I didn't like that at all. Kinn definitely doesn't want to be working as a bodyguard for this guy. And it basically follows him kind of getting used to his new position and dealing with Kinn. And eventually Kinn's kind of fascination with Porsche. And so I finished this one a few days ago. I've been sitting on my thoughts on it because I'm not really sure that I want to continue with this series. So there's definitely a BL kind of angle to the story. Like I said, Kinn does have interest in Porsche. Porsche doesn't necessarily feel the same way about Kinn at this point, but Kinn definitely makes some moves on Porsche, and he makes them when Porsche is drunk. And probably the worst one is at the end of this volume, where Porsche is not only drunk, but he's been drugged with an aphrodisiac. And so there are definitely non-consensual stuff going on at the end of this volume, if not throughout this volume. I didn't really enjoy their dynamics. I don't know that I want to see them get into a relationship with each other. So I don't own this one. I think I'd mentioned that I was borrowing a copy of the audiobook through Audible, through the Audible Plus program. I have a subscription with Audible, and I never really use the Audible Plus section. I just use it for my credits to buy audiobooks. And so this past November, a lot of the light novels had audiobooks that were available to listen to on the Audible Plus program. And so I decided, you know what, this is one that I don't actually have. Let me check it out. And so I'm glad I did. I'm going to end up giving this one 3 stars. And like I said, I'm not sure that I want to continue with it. I definitely wouldn't be paying money to purchase volumes of it for my shelves. Because at this point, I'm not sure that I want to continue to see where their relationship goes. I'm not convinced. And yeah, I just don't like the dynamics of their relationship. And so, yeah, before, when I was going through the Audible Plus library, all of the volumes that were out, I think there were 5 out of 6, maybe 4 out of 6. I'm not quite sure how many, but a good portion of the volumes were available on the Audible Plus program. But I just checked a little while ago, and now only the first one is available. So it's no longer available for me to continue on Audible Plus. I did go over to Kobo Plus, and I don't actually have to check because I use the library extension. I think I've mentioned to you before about this extension, but I'll go ahead and mention it again because I don't think a lot of people know about it. And it's a really, really helpful tool for me when I'm looking for books. So the library extension, is like a Google extension. I think you can also get it on Firefox. But it's an extension that you add on to your browser. And it basically, whenever you're on a website that has books on it, you can program the extension to have your library and any kind of other types of book places where you get books to kind of show if it's available for you at those places. So for example, when I go to Goodreads, if I look up, say, this volume, Keaton Posh Volume 1, the little extension thing comes up on the side here. And I've got my 2 library sources because I've got 2 library cards. So I have the 2 library sources. And I also have Kobo Plus. And the reason I have Kobo Plus on there is because I'm considering getting a Kobo Plus subscription. I've been considering it over the last year. And I'm going to have to consider it a little more. I'm still not convinced that I actually need to have another subscription to get books to read, but Kobo Plus is one that I'm looking at. And so anyway, Kobo Plus comes up, so it shows me what's available on their service, so that I know whether or not it's going to be something that I think would be worthwhile for me to have in the future. And I know that based on that, Keaton Posh, all of the volumes are actually available to listen to on that service, at least the ones that are available right now, because I'm not sure that all of the audiobooks have been released yet. But it isn't only a 6-volume series, so yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed because for a good portion, before all of the manipulation and stuff came into play, I was enjoying it. But now, especially with kind of their relationship kind of moving in a new direction, I don't know that I want to follow their romance. And so, yeah, I will tell you that this is definitely rated mature. This volume actually ends in the middle of a sex scene. So I presume that the beginning of the second volume continues that sex scene, and it's a non-consensual sex scene. So, yes. In any case, 3 stars. Don't think I will be continuing unless I can get it for free. Or at least part of a subscription where I don't feel like I'm paying for it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I think that's pretty much all I have to tell you about right now. I have not read any more Juni Taisen. And I really want to have that one done to close out this video. But that being said, it is now December. It is December 6th, the day that I am filming this section for you. And In all honesty, right now I am working on my manga advent calendar project. And so I'm reading those volumes. And so it doesn't really give me a lot of time to read another book, especially now that it's December and I want to be reading my holiday books because, you know, it is the season. And so I think this video is not going to get done until January. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But, you know, eventually I will get back to Juni Taisen. I'll be able to come back here and close out this video. But for now, I just wanted to let you know how our Las Vegas trip went. And, you know, tell you about my thoughts on Kinn Porsche. And I think that's going to do it for me today. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are all having a good one. And I will chat with you later. So it's been over a month since I came and talked to you for this diary entry. I am finally getting back to Juni Taisen. So it is January 10th, the day that I'm filming this clip. I thought I'd be coming here to tell you that I finished Juni Taisen and to finish up this diary entry, but that's not happening today. So I'm coming to tell you that I'm finally back on track with this diary entry, and I am on my way to finishing Juni Taisen. I am on page 206. So I really only have this much left, and a little bit of it is a glossary of some of the Japanese terms that are being used, and I believe there's an author's note, but I didn't want to flip through too precisely because I don't want to get spoiled for who the victor of this battle is, but I'm heading towards the end. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I will say, as far as my thoughts on it right now, I am enjoying what I'm reading. It's just taking me a little bit to get through it. I did want to kind of explore this series a few different ways because we have this light novel, we have this series in a manga format, and then there's a series of the anime. And I definitely want to experience all three versions, so that might be something that I explore later this year. But as of right now, the reading on this is slow going. I am still finding it interesting, but I don't know if it's just the nature of Asian stories, maybe Asian storytelling. This, even though there's a lot of action going on because there are battles in every chapter, we're focusing on one of the contestants and a battle that they're having. It feels like it's moving very slow. And so I think that's why my reading of it is also very slow, because I'm not feeling like the urgency to get to the end and find out what happens, which I would have thought I'd be done with this by now with having only this much left, but I'm not. And so it's kind of a little bit of a downer for me, but like I said, I am still enjoying each chapter and having it focus on the one particular Zodiac member because you get to know them a little bit better. It explains to you very thoroughly what kind of tactics that particular Zodiac member uses, and there are like techniques and things. You get to see like kind of them strategize a little bit, whether or not to ally with other people and things like that. It's a good story. I am enjoying it. I'm not sure I'm going to feel when I'm reading this, like with all of the animated characters, because I will say some of the characters, and you can probably see it here on the cover, are a little bit unclothed and very muscly. And so I'm not sure like how I'm going to feel like actually seeing it on page. I do feel like maybe the battles will work out a little bit better. But again, for right now, I'm not even kind of like going to dive into that. I just want to get to the end of this book and see who the victor is and how that all comes about. It kind of does seem like there's a clear path for one particular opponent. But with the way things are going and some surprises that I've already read, I'm not going to like completely say, okay, I think I know who's going to be the victor, because there are a couple of outliers here that I think could possibly make it to the end. Very interesting. So I am hopefully going to be done with this soon. And so with that being said, I'll check back in with you later. So I finally finished Juni Taisen Zodiac War. So this one was entertaining. I enjoyed my read with it. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I do believe that my reading experience, or my experience of this story in general, will probably be better in the manga or anime format, just because there's so much fighting that's going on that, you know, on page without like really seeing it in your mind's eye, I don't think I'm getting like the breadth of the fight scenes. Now, I will say that towards the end of this book, the fight scenes and the battle scenes got a lot more gruesome, and it was kind of gross. And I'm interested to see how they're going to like show what had happened in like the manga or the anime. The end of this kind of left on an ambiguous note, and I am somebody who doesn't really appreciate ambiguous endings. I much prefer a like full kind of completionist feel at the end of the story, and that's definitely not what I got here. I'm not sure how that scene that I'm talking about is dealt with in the manga or anime, but I am interested in finding out how this story is played out in those formats. And I will be exploring that probably later this year, both the manga and the anime. I do think I'm going to wait a few months and then read the manga, and then wait a few months after that and then watch the anime. I think that's probably the best progression, just so that I like increase my experience of the story in kind of steps, right? Because I feel like I'll be able to see a lot more as far as the illustrations go, and then even further when I get to the anime. So that's kind of the progression I want to take, and hopefully I will follow through with that this year. It is on my plans, and so yes, I am glad that I finally finished this book. I think the last time I tried to read it was back in 2019, and like I had mentioned when I first introduced this one, I read about 4 chapters and then just put it down and never got back to it. So I'm glad that I finally finished the story. It was interesting, and I am really excited to continue my exploration of the series with the manga and the anime. So that is all I have as far as reading for this diary entry. It did take quite a while to complete, but as we are doing Advent openings with all of my diary entries in 2026, I will be doing an Advent opening for you here as we close out this entry. So first up with my yarn Advent calendar, this is the Charlie Brown Christmas inspired yarn Advent calendar by Stitchin' with Yarn. We've got day 3 here, and so I didn't bring out the card because the last time I opened one of these, there was a sticker on the inside of the flap that told me what the colorway name was. And so this one is called Christmas Time Was Here. And so let's see what color this is. Ooh, very much my style. More on the turquoisey, kind of icy blue side with some purples in there. So very, very happy with this one. Excited to see more of these colors. And so that is my Stitchin' with Yarn Advent. And then we have the Nido Advent. So we are on day 3, 2, 4. Why does it take me so long to find these? Here are 3. That looks like another little monifato, and it is a reindeer. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but it is a reindeer. It is awfully cute, and it is very squishy. This one is not a finger puppet, but it is squishy. So yay! That is cute. I'm going to store that one back in here. It says Rudy the Reindeer. I didn't realize they had little names on that. Did they have one on day 1? Yes. It says elf finger puppet. And day 2 is over here. This one says Dice Ice Baby. So yes, I do have that that one right here on this desk for when I need it, because I do have a larger Nido on my office desk that I use to keep me occupied during office meetings. And so yeah, that is everything that I have for you today. I'm so glad to be finally finishing up this particular diary entry, because it did take quite a while to finish, but I'm glad that I was able to get this one done for you in the new year. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a horse emoji for Juni Taisen, because it is the year of the horse coming up, it would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.